Good morning, everybody. All you guys. I love it when I see people in the waiting room. I'm like, these are my people. They're here. They're ready. Bonnie, good to see you. Let's see. Lynn, Gladys, there we go. I like the Jeep in the background. Cynthia, hello. Janelle, Tony. Let's get those videos on, guys. Come on. Varun, Karen, Dana's trying to join, but it's that's why we always give a couple minutes after Zoom. Sometimes they'll just be sitting there and it'll be like joining, joining. I love it. Oh, I didn't realize I'm skipping ahead on slides. I got to get my icebreaker question. There we go. So this one I actually really love this because well, let me ask you guys first. I'm gonna actually get off sort of my own question. Type in the chat how many of you have a business plan already? Okay, I'm actually curious about that. How many of you have a business plan, yes or no, in the chat already? It's relevant to kind of the question. In the works, some of you do. I love it. More people coming in, by the way, so I'll repeat the question for those who just came in. Do you have a business plan? Do you have a business plan? Now, one of the things that I wrote yesterday was that business plans are great. They are. You know, I kind of view them as a lighthouse. They can shed some clarity, but they're not going to steer the boat or calm the waves. And that's where the mental side of things comes in. That's where the mental side of things come in. And so before we get into, we're going to be doing a special workshop with Laura Dahl next week, starting kind of business planning. What we started to see, and I'm sure you guys have felt this too, is you have all the plans in the world and they're good plans. And then life happens and you fall apart. You get overwhelmed. You get lost, right? It could be even good things. You get married. It could be really bad things. You get sick, right? Things happen. And then all of a sudden, the plan that you had kind of means nothing. And a lot of that just comes from right here in your mind. And so that's why I really wanted to bring this special guest in. Shout out to Debbie and Walt, who said, you have got to get Al on. Dr. Al, he's a performance psychologist. So we're going to be getting into it, but I just wanted to share with you kind of like why we're doing this special one, why we wanted to start the year off this way. I wanted to get into the mind. We're going to talk about a couple different things, um, a couple different topics. There's an endless amount that can be talked about with the mind, but we're just going to pick a few ones that we think we're really just kind of holding you guys back, kind of getting in the way, common things we see among agents. And yeah, so now that we got over the business plan part, now I answer the real question. How many of you have a mental plan? Meaning, how many of you know what to do and how to handle it when you are overwhelmed and the business plan isn't working, right? Or it falls apart, or you don't have the time that you had, or you don't have the energy that you had, or you just don't have the mental fortitude. And it's okay. I'm expecting most of you to say, not quite. I'm not quite there. Most people aren't. Most people aren't. Most of the time, we're kind of lost through it all, right? It's true. And I'll tell you what, you guys know I've coached thousands of agents at this point. Thousands. Very few have any clue what to do when they're overwhelmed. Very few even have put themselves in a state to be able to succeed with their business plan. So they write it and it's great. And yet they're still not there mentally to be able to actually achieve what they're looking for. So this is for all the agents because we're five after. I respect your time. You respect my time. We all have a good time. So this is for all the agents who feel like maybe their income depends too heavily on the market behaving predictably, and in other words, an external force. Maybe they don't have a backup plan if their current model stops producing, right? Seen that plenty of times. Maybe they want some more confidence just adapting when conditions change instead of scrambling. Why do you think, with all the great coaching out there, all of the amazing, amazing coaches out there, and business plans and self help books, why do you think last year was one of the hardest years for agents and more people exited the business? We have the plans, guys, right? We have the coaching, we have the tutorials, we have the strategies, right? All right. So let's get into it. Before we really, really, really dive in, Dr. Al, we're going to first talk about your 4 commitments for being on the call. You guys know these ones. We go over it every week. Number one is video on, unless you're doing something that is unsafe to have the video on. They are actually going into dental surgery. I was like, wow, that's commitment. You're like about to go into surgery, but you're like, I'm still going to be on this call. I love it. I love it. So, video on. Number two, distractions off. You guys did not ever. You are way too smart to show up to a call just to be distracted. So, turn over the phone, do what you got to do, kick the dog out of the room, whatever it is, distractions away so you can get the most out of this. Number three is participate. We might have questions that come up. We might even have some activities. Make sure you participate. You will get more out of this. And then, of course, my personal favorite, most important, is go make someone else's day. Go bless someone. Dr. Al is here blessing you guys today. I'm here every week blessing you guys. I want you to go and pay that forward. Go and bless someone else. Okay. All right. So let me just share with you just a quick, the things need to change type of moment. Okay. So business plans are good. Time blocking is good. Goals, calendar systems, they're all useful. But you have to remember, and so many of us forget, that life doesn't care and it absolutely does not follow your plan at all. It doesn't check your calendar and go, do we have time for the kids to get sick today? Nope. Doesn't happen, right? It doesn't check your bank account and be like, does that client, can they really cancel right now on the contract and back out? It doesn't care. Clients cancel, deals fall apart, kids get sick, markets shift. So now we're going to turn around and focus on what you do, the resilience, the standards to keep operating when that plan gets tested. All right, so let's kick it off with a little bit of say it with me. Things need to change. Oh, I didn't even press on the slides. I normally have the slides. I was clicking on and they will, by the way, because we're going to do the mental shift. So clear operating standards, increase consistency when market conditions change. Okay, we're going to get into this. Dr. Al's going to take over in just a minute. Businesses built on skill sets adapt faster than those built on motivation or market timing. And listen, I actually really want you to take a minute of that one. When Dr. Al and I were talking about this call, which again, Dr. Al, by the way, thank you so much just for it was kind of last minute, man, but you made it happen. So I just want to say a special thank you there. But I want to take a moment here. Business built on skill sets adapt faster than those built on motivation, market timing. Motivation is not why you get up. Because if you're not motivated, what happens to your business? You just don't work. So a business built on whether you're motivated to work or not, or whether the market's right or not, means you will be broke. You will lose control and things will crumble around you. So we're going to talk about what to build your business on. And then defining non-negotiables so that you can reduce the burnout by removing guesswork from daily decisions. Because it's not about predicting the market. It's about having the resilience and mindset to adapt based on what is, not what you hope might be. So now we actually get to get into it. Let me introduce you to our special guest today, performance psychologist, Dr. Al. Dr. Al, you're here.
I'm here, buddy.
Again, thank you so much for making time. Uh, I'm gonna let you take most of it away. I'll just have little slides of the three things we talked about with a little bit of bullet points on them, and then you can take it away, and then we'll move to the next slide.
All
So
right, buddy.
here we go. Step one: understand what is.
All right. So, um, so welcome everybody. I do have a real estate background, just so you know. I'm not only a performance psychologist, I've been licensed since 2007. I've invested in 21 markets. I spoke for all the big boy real estate TV shows for 6 years. So what I don't want you thinking is this psychobabbling shrink is going to come on and talk about some crazy nonsense that's not applicable, and he doesn't even understand our industry. I understand the industry very, very well. I've been at multiple brokerages. I've had large teams myself. So real estate can be either a blessing or it can be a pain, right? Depending on what you're doing and what your attitude is. Um, Now, one of the things I want to talk about is that you have to wrap your head around you don't control the market, you just play the game. And what does that actually mean in English? What it means is none of us combined have enough money to control the economy or the real estate market or the power to make decisions or anything like that. The only thing we can do is react to whatever the market is saying. So right now, buyers or sellers market. In Denver, I'm out of Denver, it's a buyer's market, hands down. We have a lot of inventory. Stuff is taking longer than going under contract. I don't know what your market is doing. It may be duplicating that. It might not be duplicating it. So right now, if we say, okay, play the game, you're actually better off being a buyer's agent than you are a listing agent. Crazy, right? Because every real estate book and guru out there will tell you to be a listing agent. Well, not if you want to make money fast in today's market. Go be a buyer's agent. Show 5 houses. If you listen to your client, you should be able to get them to pick one. You should be able to make an offer. You should be pretty aggressive. You're going to ask for concessions, probably less than asking. And voila, you're going under contract, especially if it's been on the market for 90 days plus. Because in Denver, that's a weird statistic, right? So you have to understand what the market is giving you, and then you have to be able to pivot quick enough to be able to shift into XYZ to be able to make money. So sometimes, like when you do these AKA goal setting conferences and you listen to all these webinars and people were like, think about the year you want to have, that's great as long as you're willing to make the changes that need to happen along the way, because we don't control the bigger picture like maybe some other industries do that you can map out your whole year. So if all of a sudden you've done some crazy lead generation on being this dominant listing agent and listings are taking forever to move, well, guess what? Your plan is already derailed because you expected to have multiple offers, multiple closings in the first quarter, and it's taking the entire quarter to even go under contract. So you're already behind on your 1 year plan. So when you shift your thinking to understand what's working today, what's working this week, you're good to go. Now, let me ask you a question here. Are you building your business on market timing and market conditions and what I'll call market excuses if you're not getting the results that you want? Or are you a believer, a disciple, that real estate revolves around life? So let me explain this. Do people die? Yes or no? Every day, no matter what the rates are doing? Absolutely. Do people inherit properties that they don't know what to do and they don't want it every day, no matter what the market's doing? Absolutely. Do people divorce every day, no matter what the market is doing? Absolutely. Do people have kids every day and need a bigger house because they don't know what, and they doesn't matter what the market is doing? Do people's knees give out and they can't climb a 2-story set of stairs anymore and they've got a 3,000 square foot house and it's time for them to downsize and it doesn't matter what the market is doing? So where I'm going with this is if you go after life conditions and understand how life conditions sometimes supersede market conditions, guess what? You've got a business that continues to operate. So I'm going to give you a true example. Monday morning, this is, what is today? Wednesday? 2 days ago, 6:33 a.m. I had a previous client text me, 6:33 a.m. She's a chemistry professor at a university here. And she said, I need to find a new place to live considering this one, what's your availability today? Now, and then she said, I've reached out to Dan the lender and another lender. So put it in the chat. What do you think happened in her life on Sunday that she woke up Monday and figured I was available at 6:33 a.m. to respond to her text? What do you think happened? Put it in the chat. I'm going to see if you're paying attention. Because to me, I already knew what happened. No one's going to chat. Divorce, 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 breakup. Yep, breakup. Because a couple years ago, her new man bought a house and she's been living there, and clearly something had gone wrong. So it was funny because when I sent the lender a text saying, hey, so and so is going to be texting you, she wants to buy a place, he was like, oh yeah, I think she's buying it as a rental. I said, no, 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 no. She's single. She needs a place to go. And then I showed her the house around noon, and obviously she's single. She needs a place to go. So my point to that is that's life, right? Do you think she cares what the rates are today? No, she's not going to rent. She's going to buy something. She's an intelligent lady, and she'll just figure out whatever it is today is whatever it is today. And if the rate cuts come and it's time to refinance, she'll refinance. It's as simple as that. It's just as simple as that. Life is dictating her choice. Okay. So that's one of the things I want you guys to really, really understand. So my three takeaways: you don't control the market. You need to be able to pivot really, really quickly to whatever the game is that the market is yielding us. Pivot quickly. Don't be stuck in a box. Pivot. And the third one is that understand, learn how to relate to people, to life, and be their solution for when they have a real estate need, because life dictates it, so that you're the go-to person that they think about.
So
Different concepts, right?
before we get into the next slide, I have a question for you then.
Yes, sir.
How do you go about extracting like learning about their life, right? So we can adapt to their life, but how do these agents go about being the person that, finds out that they're getting divorced and then the breakup and the death in the family? Like, is there an approach that you have for that?
I think it's twofold, right? So we'll take the most organic method, which is the longer method, is that when you do have the opportunity to connect with people, clients, they call you about real estate needs, somebody makes an introduction, is make it way bigger than the transaction, right? And be that point of reason. And we're going to talk in a future slide here. We're going to talk about high real estate IQ, and we're going to talk about social media. You have to be the point of reason, so that when something is weird, they view you as a trusted individual, as a trusted advisor. Notice what I said, a trusted advisor. So they're going to call you because something is weird in their life, and they trust and respect what you're going to tell them because it's not transactional based. I
Okay.
tell people all the time, I don't know if it's a right time for you to sell your house. I don't know. Only you know. My job is to tell you what the market is yielding, what your net will be. You guys have to make a decision whether you can live with that and whether that moves the needle forward in whatever direction you're going. Very different than most sleazy agents who are always just trying to sign the contract.
Hmm.
Sign the contract. And I will say this, and I've said this for the 20 years I've been licensed, or almost 20. The barrier to get into real estate is way too easy. Way too easy. If we made every realtor own a house, it would change the game. If we made them have a bachelor's degree, it would change the game. And it's just too easy. So, and I had a team of young agents, and I made my first criteria for them to own their own house. I said, how in the world can you represent somebody and know what that feels like emotionally if you don't even own your own house? But you want to flock yourself on social media. You're like, you're a real estate queen or king. Give me a break. You're 21 years old. So when I talk about that, it's being sincere and it's being a trusted advisor. The second thing is, obviously, you can create a marketing funnel based on these life situations, right? Inheritance. I mean, you can pull leads, you can network with estate attorneys, probate attorneys. I mean, you can be a divorce specialist. I mean, there's many things you can do if you say, hey, I want to create a marketing vertical that targets XYZ people, whether it's on social media, whether it's SEO, having a website, whether it's a blog, whatever you're doing. I don't care what you're doing. But if that's something you want to go and specialize in, you absolutely can, so that people find you when they're in that situation. Or
Mhm.
you do the networking with a ton of divorce attorneys, so that when there's a house that needs to be sold, that divorce attorney feels comfortable giving your name out.
So it sounds like what you're saying is the two ways, if I'm recapping them right, is one is focus on the life event and be relatable in that sense, be a solution in that sense, not just transactional. Transactional will come and go, it'll shift with the market. But if you're the life events person, that kind of transcends the business only type of relationship. That'll make sure that they call you when, as you said, life gets weird. And then two is, if you want to, if you relate to a particular type of life event, create a funnel that reflects that. If you relate to inheritance, if you relate to divorce, okay, build relationships around that so that you can ingrain yourself and be deeper connected and deeper involved in that community.
Yeah, correct. And here's a little one that I just recalled that I did years and years and years and years ago. Is I pulled a list of homeowners who were over 60, who had lived in their house for 25 years or more, and their house was two-story only, and they had like over 3,000 square foot living space. Who was I targeting?
Downside.
Downsizers, people who were tired of climbing stairs, right? And people whose kids are gone to college, moved out, done whatever, right? So they need a smaller house, and they realize, man, I'm tired of carrying laundry up and down these stairs. Yeah, how about we just get a ranch, right? And that was a target market that I did a direct mail campaign to,
I love it.
because I was like, oh, let me see how well this works, right? But again, it's like anything else. If you pick a marketing thing, you've got to do it consistently, right? 12 to 18 months, right? So quit listening to your title reps that are like, oh, in 90 days, this will work. Bullshit. Like, you gotta, 12 to 18 months, man. If you're gonna put some effort into it, put some effort into it. Let it run its course long enough to where it gives you a return on investment. And that's hard to do when you're just yielding money out and nothing's coming in, but it's the consistency that'll pay off. So,
I love it. All right, let's get into this one. This one is, you already hinted at it earlier. Be someone people want to pay, not block.
okay. So here's the thing. Let's talk about social media real quick. You have one of three lenses that you can build your social media on, and there's only three. And you got to pick the one that fits you the best. Are you going to entertain people on social media about real estate? So you want to be an entertainer. You're funny, right? You're going to make funny videos of the day in the life of a realtor, or whatever the case may be. I don't know. I'm not very funny, so be whatever you want to be. You're going to entertain people with your videos about real estate. Cool. The next one is, and an influencer kind of, I would kind of put in that same category. But the next one would be, you're going to be an educator. So you're going to educate people on social media about the home buying, home selling process. Every video is going to come with just a ton of knowledge, a ton of value. And then the other one is, you're going to be an authority figure. You want to be the expert. So if you guys, aka look myself up, you're going to see Dr. Al, performance psychologist. I really push cohesion under pressure. How do you create a cohesive unit that can operate under pressure? That's my mantra. That's what I do with law enforcement, with athletic environments, with corporations, right? How can I teach you to have your team function when everything goes wrong, right? That's my baby. So when you see all my videos, that's the authority figure that comes out saying, hey, this is my lived experience, my life experience, and my academic experience that I'm bringing to you today in my consulting world. It's an authority. I'm not trying to entertain you, and I'm not even trying to educate you. I just want you to know that I'm the expert, and you need to have a conversation with me so that we can move things forward. So you've got to figure out which one of those lanes are you in as you're posting. Because what I see on social media is realtors are all over the place. Like, there's an agent right now in Denver. I know her very, very well. And she's doing the entertainment videos, right? So she's lapped into this thing with her brokerage to film these funny videos. But the crazy thing is, that's not her personality. Her true personality is not funny. She actually was a school teacher. So, what lane do you think she should be in on social media? She should be in the educator role of educating people what it's like to buy or sell a house. That's her cup of tea. But because she's sucked up with what this brokerage thinks is the right thing to do to create funny videos, she's making all these funny videos. But when people meet her, you're going to get a very serious personality that talks very slow, that wants to explain everything to you. That doesn't line up. So the thing is, you got to be you on social media. Pick one of those three and figure out which one you want to be. Then you figure out your, this is not a social media class, but you figure out your posting, you figure out this, you figure out this, and stay in your lane. Now, one of the things I used to tell my team, I had a team of 12. They were all bilingual. They were all younger agents, between the ages of like 20 and 25. And one of the things that I used to tell them all the time is, if people see baby mama drama on your social media feed, why in the world would they want to hire you to help them buy or sell a house? People don't want to see drama. People don't want to see that you're a hot mess. People don't want to see those weird posts where you're just not showing your, AKA, your professional side. Now, you can be real, but I think there's a way that you can spin things to make it professional, right? So no one's asking you to live in this glass house, but also whatever's private is private. And you got to understand, again, what are you trying to do? Get attention on social media because of drama? Or are you trying to get people to who like your style? Because some people like entertainment, some people like authority, some people like educator. So whoever's watching in this wide, wide world of reach, is that you're speaking to that avatar. You're not speaking to every avatar. You're speaking to that avatar. So when you're putting a bunch of drama and a bunch of nonsense, you're only speaking to those toxic people in your life who are thriving off of that stuff. That doesn't
Ooh,
yield
that
a
was
good
powerful.
business plan, right?
That was so powerful. We got pause, man. That was so good. You literally are attracting the most toxic people in your life when you, wow. I hope you guys really took that in. That was amazing.
Yeah. I mean, it's the truth, right? So here's the thing. I was an elite athlete. My kids were all elite athletes. And I go into high schools and I speak about the college recruiting period process, and how competitive it is, and how insane it is, and how they view you as a commodity, not as a person. And if you can't perform being a commodity, you have zero value to them at playing at the next level. And I talk to the parents and I talk to the kids and I talk to them about social media. And I'm like, look, no kid, no coach wants to see your mother acting up on social media. Like, they won't recruit you because of what your mother's behavior is like on social media. So, mama, you better clean it up. So, you think you're being cute? No, you're ruining your son's or daughter's chances because coach is like, I ain't dealing with her. I'm not dealing with her. And I'm not dealing with a daddy that thinks he knows it all. And I'm not dealing with a kid that's hitting up West Side and getting high and showing guns either. Don't want you, right? Now, is there 1% of the programs that will still take those kids because of athletic talent? Of course there is. But they don't have a culture, right? They don't have a culture. They don't have standards. So the thing about social media realtors is figure out entertainer, authority, educator, and then build your social media from one of those three lenses, not all three of those lenses, and go after it, and just understand what your purpose is to the community that watches you. That's it. It's that simple. Don't overcomplicate it.
It feels so much like much of what you're saying, correct me if I'm wrong, just what I'm getting from this is almost a level of humility of realizing that we're here to serve. And if our social media reflects something that is a pain to someone's life, not a solution, but it's a pain point, it's a potential problem that's going to drive the type of people we want to work with away from us because they will not want to work with someone who looks like they're a bigger problem than they are a solution.
Correct. Correct.
I think the
Correct.
politics is a good one too. I see agents all, I mean, huge leaders, guys who have 1,000 people in their downline. And I'm like, half of them are on the opposite side of what you're they're not being graceful with the way that they talk about their politics. They're literally saying, if you're on this side, you're a piece of trash. And I'm like, what are you doing right now? What?
Yeah, yeah. Politics is a weird one, right? And and religion's another one, right? Like politics and religion, right? I'm not here to tell you what to do and what not to do, right? Um, but I think you need to be aware of, again, whatever you put out there is you're going to draw that crowd, right?
Hmm.
So if you're very anti-Trump or very pro-Trump, you're very whatever in today's world that's extremely decisive, or whatever, like there's a split. Um, Understand that people who have the opposite viewpoint that might have as strong as an emotional feeling as you do when they go to their real estate needs, they're not going to call you, right? Because that emotional line of things is so strong for them that they just can't fathom that.
On
Like,
the trust, right? You said
yeah,
trusted advisor,
yeah,
and I would think like, for instance, I'm really big on natural health, organic health, outside, right? And while there may be a great doctor out there, if they push things or they're very anti what I believe in, they may still be a good doctor, but I'm not going to feel like they're the doctor for me. And so that's going to push me farther away from them because they're just I hate this and I hate that versus being a bit more open like let's discuss this. Let's talk about that. I think guys, a lot of you follow Walter Key already, but Walter does a really good job of bringing up political topics because that is part of his identity. He's going to talk to every client. They're going to talk about politics without a doubt, right? You know that, and agents who know him, you're going to talk about politics with Walter, but you rarely know where Walter is on that conversation. He wants you guys to just start talking and discussing it, and he will navigate each and every one of you as an individual on your opinion. And so I think you can have a personality, like you said, right, Al? You said, well, you can be you. You can have a personality, just how you express it. Is it in a respectful, professional, relatable manner, or is it absolutely driving division and just being in their face, like you said, baby mama drama, right? Is it just wow, this person is way too much?
yeah,
I
yep.
love it.
Um, it's, can I see the next slide? Is it on the high real estate IQ?
Determine your boundaries, but we can get if we want to do extra. We're doing great on time.
Okay, so uh, let's talk about something else within which will also help you with your social media or your marketing, whatever you're going to do. Is ask yourself, what am I doing to have high real estate IQ? Right? So before we start going down that path, in the chat, put what constitutes high real estate IQ? Like, what constitutes that? Like, let's start defining it in the chat. What constitutes high real estate IQ?
Just drop it in the chat, guys. Don't be
Yep.
shy. I'm gonna
And I'm
keep
not
going.
really following the chat, but I know some of you are um, really knowledge, simple information, know the market, understand people, training, reading the stats, broad array of knowledge. Okay, cool. Up to date on market. Okay, cool. So let's break down real estate for 2 seconds at a very most simplistic level. Okay. And I think this is something we fail to do in the industry. Is in real estate, would you all agree we have to wear multiple hats? And I mean multiple hats. So if we just take the main pillars of real estate, we got to understand marketing, we got to understand conversion, we got to understand like real estate statistics in your city, your market, however you're doing it, your neighborhood, your area, what zip code, however you're doing it, right? You got to understand the numbers per se. You got to understand contracts. You got to understand negotiation. You got to understand buyer seller drama psychology, right? And there's probably a few others. Okay. So if you just look at those main verticals, one of the struggles with real estate is we all have natural strengths. We're all wired innately for natural strengths, right? So we have to, the unfortunate truth is we have to learn how to adapt to be good. We have to learn how to modify our behavior to be good at the things that don't come natural to us. Or you have to make enough money to where you can outsource, hire for the skills that don't come naturally to you. It's a very weird dichotomy in our business, right? So if you think about all that and you think about the brains involved with marketing, the lead conversion, to creating a visionary strategy, to knowing the market, to understanding contracts, to understanding human behavior, a husband and wife that's not on the same page, and you're supposed to be the middleman, and they look at you and they're like, "What should we do?" And you're like, "Oh Lord, what should we do?" Right? You're like, "Oh God, right? Who am I leaning with on this one?" So if you start looking at that and you start saying, "Okay, so to have high real estate IQ, I have to be good at all seven of those things. I've got to be really good at all seven of those things, or I have to start again filling the pipeline, surrounding myself with people who can support me and help build my business that are good at some of these things that I'm not great at." So I'll be honest with you, I am terrible at like marketing. And I don't know why, probably because I have no patience. That's probably why, right? So, I want to do something and I wanted to have like a million views or something like that, and it has three, and you're like, what in the world did I do wrong? Oh, I should probably hire somebody that knows what they're doing, right? Whatever the case may be. So the thing is, for example, for me, I realized that many, many moons ago, I was not good at marketing. So I had to always outsource marketing. I always had to hire people to do marketing because I realized I just wasn't good at it. It's just not my cup of tea. I get it in concept, but the implementation and execution is just a different thing, especially in a world where we're in algorithms and algorithms change all the time and things of that nature. It's far more complex than sending a postcard anymore, kind of thing. So you figure out, how do you have high real estate IQ, right? And I'll even tell you, I'm going to promote TCs for 2 seconds here. Like, I think you're nuts if you don't use a TC. I think you're crazy, right? Because like in Denver, my TC, she's been with me, I don't know, probably for like 10, 11, 12 years. I mean, she makes $400 a file. I think when we started, it was 275, something like that. But even my brand new agents that were younger, I was like, start building the right system so you have a TC. Now, where's the value of the TC? And I'll tell you, for me, so I'm with Epic, but I've been at KW 4 times, Coldwell twice, EXP, Real, probably some other flat fee brokerages along the way. Um, I have no idea in any of those brokerages how the back end systems work for office compliance. I couldn't even tell you any of that stuff. I don't even know what my dot loop, CSU, I've never known what my username and passwords are, ever, because I don't mess with stuff like that. That's what a TC is for. So for me, again, high real estate IQ, you don't think of the back office stuff, but the back office stuff is how you stay compliant and get paid, correct? So for me, having a TC was check the box, because now guess what? She's got high real estate IQ on office compliance, so I get paid at closing, and she'll make sure everything is cool. So it's well worth it. It's one less thing Al has to do. So when you guys start thinking about high real estate IQ, figure out where you want to be the most competent at. And if you're forward facing with clients, then it has to be contracts, it has to be negotiation, it has to be conversion, it has to be understanding how to show a property, has to be how to go on a listing appointment, right? How to price a property, knowing your market, right? It's all that stuff. So then all that other stuff, outsource. Just take it off your plate and get somebody else to do it. Because if you're also trying to be an expert in all those subsidiary things that lead to being forward client facing, there's only so many hours in the day. And we're going to talk about that too, right? There's only so many hours in the day that you can do stuff. So figure out again, where do you want to be the expert in? And then take all that, package that up to your social media on one of those three fronts. And now you've got a systematic way, a thought-provoking way you're building your business, and you're not scouring, comparing yourself to others on social media that you don't even know if the results are true. And that is one thing I do want to point out, is when you guys are on social media and as you are second guessing yourself and you're having those limiting beliefs like, oh, Joey from San Antonio is crushing it. How do you know that? How do you know that? know that Joey from San Antonio is crushing it. You don't even know Joey. He's just on your Instagram feed. Guy could be full of crap and hasn't sold a house in 3 years, right? So my thing to that is be very cautious of who you're following on social media and putting any sustenance into it to where you're starting to second guess your own abilities and beliefs, unless you know that they're legit. Now, if you know that they're legit because they're one of the top hitters in your brokerage and they fit your style of, we'll just say, being an educator, cool, then duplicate, right? Because you know they're a big hitter because the brokerage validates their numbers. You like their style because they're educating clients. Now duplicate it. Makes sense? But quit comparing yourselves to people that you don't even know. Quit. Because it's very, very, very toxic. And you'll wake up and you'll feel motivated, like Robert said, and all of a sudden you'll watch some guy's Instagram or some gal's Instagram, and this is an epidemic in the fitness world, and all of a sudden you're like, well, how is it that they put 3 deals under contract yesterday? Right? And all of a sudden you're like, but you don't know if they did. So that I meant to throw that in there with social media, and I forgot to. So does that answer the question, Robert, on high real estate IQ?
I mean, I think it does. You guys pretty clear in the chat, like, or those with video on nodding the heads. Looks like that resonated with a lot. And I honestly, Alan, I think it's a perfect segue into determining your boundaries. Yeah, I'm glad I, Bonnie, I'm glad you definitely brought that up. So yeah, let's get into determining your boundaries. A perfect segue. It really is.
Okay, cool. So your life revolves around non-negotiables and negotiables. Okay. So if I was going to do a time management training today, I would have up the days of the week, the hours of the days, and I would tell you the first thing you plug into that calendar are your non-negotiables, period. What you will not deviate from, ever, like ever. We can talk about the power of one and habits and all that good stuff like that, but you just won't deviate it. So I'm going to give you some personal examples. I never take a day off from the gym, ever. I mean, I have to be borderline dying to not walk into Vaza every single morning. And I mean, I'm pushing that threshold of borderline dying. And I know some of you are probably like, you're irresponsible. Probably, right? Probably. Because I probably should stay at home. But you'll be all right. They got wipes. So here's the thing. I train 365 days a year. Now, are all 365 intense? No, I'm 55 years old. And I still feel like I train like a beast at that gym. But there's days that my body's like, dude, you're 55. You better just like stretch and foam roll today, right? Do a little of your own version of yoga. Cool. So I listen to my body, but I still physically can walk in that gym every single morning. The only day it's closed is Christmas Day. And trust me, I'm working out at home. So that's a non-negotiable for me. If you looked at my calendar, you will see workout every single morning on my calendar, 7 days a week for the whole year. I do not deviate from it. I pick up my grandson every day from school, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. He gets out at 2:35. I'm in that parking lot at 2:15 to beat all the PTA parents so I can have the right parking spot. I let him hang out, play, do whatever, take him to all his kickboxing stuff, and then I drop him off at 5:15. That's a non-negotiable. That's a non-negotiable. I don't care what somebody wants during that time. That's a non-negotiable for me with my grandson. Now, can I do a Zoom? Can I do a phone call if he's just playing or whatever? Of course I can. Of course I can. But he will be the priority, right? He's the priority. Me and my wife are helping raise two of our nieces. We got a 3.5-year-old and a 1.5-year-old in our house. Wednesday nights, I watch them so their mom can go to this school program that she's got to go to. I watch them Wednesday nights. That's a non-negotiable. So where I'm going with that is plug in all your non-negotiables, and you'll see that I'm very intense about this family thing, right? And leading from the front. I'm super intense about it. So those are non-negotiable. And for me, if somebody's like, they say something stupid, like, oh, dude, have your wife pick up your grandson. I don't need to ever talk to you again. That's my non-negotiable. You say something like that to me, you just put up a wall and I don't need to talk to you ever again because I know where your values lie. And you're not somebody that I need in my circle. And so if I say, hey, and I still coach at boxing gyms and stuff like that. So if I say, hey, I'm absolutely okay, I can show you a house, but I have to, I coach, everybody knows I coach. I'm going to be dressed in athletic attire because I got to get to the boxing gym as soon as I get done showing your house. Will you please not hold that against me? You know what people tell me? I don't care what you wear. We hire you for your brain and your experience. I'm like, okay, awesome, cool. I would just rather skip the clothes changing saga, right? I align myself with people that respect the way I live my life. That's what I mean when I mean non-negotiables. So if you're a devout believer and Sundays are your day of worship and they're your day of family and you're not going to answer text messages and stuff like that, cool. That's your non-negotiable. You just got to let the rules be known on what your non-negotiables are. And then people that respect that will respect that. People that don't respect that won't respect that. And you've got to be strong enough to say, no, I don't deviate from my non-negotiables. I do not deviate from my non-negotiables. And it's weird because I get it. Because when you're kind of, a hungry realtor and you're like, oh, I need to show a house, right? And I've been there. I've been there, my friends, where, when we used to do internet leads, someone would be like, speed a lead, call them back in 30 seconds, right? And people would be like, oh, can I see a house? And you wouldn't even ask for a pre-approval. Yeah, I'll show you a house. I tell my wife and kids, hold on, we're going to make a pit stop. I got to show a house real quick. And I'd show the house, and then we'd keep going, right? I've done it. I've done the grind. I've done the grind. But over the years, I've just realized that those non-negotiables, they really mean everything, and it's how you live your life. So once you plug in your non-negotiables of what's important to you, family dinner, whatever it is, you plug those in. Now, everything else in your schedule is what I call flex time, and it's negotiable. And you have to learn how to communicate that others were willing to work with you during your flex time. It's all about how you communicate, right? So my wife, I'm gonna give you an example of my wife. She'll call the doctor for an appointment. She just basically she says, "Oh, well, what do you guys have available?" So whatever the first day and time is that they have available, she's like, "Okay, that's fine." And I'm like, "That don't work, especially if I got to take you for whatever reason, right?" And she's like, "Well, that's what they had available." I'm like, "No, it's not. Call them back and be like, hey, I talked to my husband. That's not going to work. What other days and times would work? Or better yet, here's the days or the time frame that would work well with us, right?" So the whole thing is about putting things in context so that you guys can work your schedule. Now, I'm going to give you a little tip and trick. I haven't done this in a long time. But I did used to do this. So I was trying not to show houses on Saturdays. Okay. There was a point in my career where I was like, okay, like you got to do one day where like you're not showing houses. So I was trying not to show houses on Saturdays. And I know that sounds weird, right? Because Saturday is a busy day in real estate. So when people would be like, hey man, can you do a Saturday? I would be like, yeah, absolutely. Of course I can. So we'll just say today's what, January 7th. So I would look for like a Saturday in March. And I'm making this up because I don't have a calendar in front of me. Yeah, so I'm available on Saturday, March 18th at noon. Would that work for you? And they were like, huh? Oh yeah, sorry, man. I'm just tied up. Like so many clients want to go see houses on Saturday. Like, is there any way that I could convince you that could we do after work? Could you squeeze out a little bit? Could we look at a couple houses during lunch? And it was amazing because I was playing that mind game with them that all of a sudden they were like, oh yeah, I could take a half day off. Oh wow. Like any day of the week? Yeah, okay, well, how does Thursday work? Right? So when you put it back to them, it was amazing that all of a sudden, if they really wanted to work with you, and I wasn't doing it like arrogantly or jerkily or anything like that, it was just a weird thing I did as an experiment that all of a sudden they were like, oh no, yeah, we could take a half day off, we could take an extended lunch. Yeah, that's not a problem at all. It was because I started setting the context, right? Started saying context. Now, I'm not foolish. I like money just like everybody else. So if I got the sense that Saturday was the day, then I would play it and be like, well, it sounds like Saturday is just the only day that really works for you guys, huh? Okay, I'll tell you what, I do have a client that's really, really flexible. Um, and they'll be okay if I can reschedule their slot because they've got more flexibility in their schedule. So I'll tell you what, this Saturday, how about 10 a.m.? And don't worry, I'll just take my 10 a.m. and I'll move them to another slot because I know their schedule really, really well. Right. So again, it's how you frame stuff, right? To where now do you think you're AKA like a hero to those clients because you just rescheduled someone on a Saturday? I didn't even have anybody on a Saturday. Right. And I know that's not a very integral thing I'm doing, but it's just we're just playing a game here, right? We're just playing a game. And I was playing a game to see, like, in regards to scheduling, like, where was it? But I was not foolish enough to also be like, okay, I'm going to lose a deal over this, right? And I'm going to figure it out. So non-negotiables, operating standards, and what you're going to cut out. So you have to. So me and Robert were talking, and I definitely don't have as strong as feelings or emotions as Robert does on a certain issue, but I do think I do believe in standards and stuff like that, right? So when you're operating and you're going to conferences and things of this nature, what's the purpose of going to family reunion if you're with KW, going to EXPCon if you're with EXP, going to PowerCon if you're with Epic, and sorry, whatever the other brokerages call their conferences, right? What's the purpose when you go? Are you going to party, or are you going to learn? Are you learning to gain value? Are you learning to network, right? Build relationships, right? You got to just figure out what your standards are, how you're operating in this business, right? And so, like for Robert, he was giving me some examples of, and I would agree with what he's got to say, that I think sometimes these agents just show up to party. Like that's all they do. Like they just show up to party the whole time at a conference. And I mean, I don't know. Is that good use of your time and money? Is that what you expect out of your brokerage? And then, people, where was the value in having that behavior? Now, I'm all about socializing and having a couple drinks and all that stuff like that. So I think there's a balance of having fun, but also taking your career seriously and trying to be a better version of you from attending something that you're pouring time, effort, and money into. But I think it just goes into the sense of your standards. So I won't mention any names, but I was affiliated with a brokerage where the managing broker thought every conference was her party. Like she didn't even attend anything. She was just at the bar all day. And I'd be like, what? And the crazy thing is the brokerage was paying for her to go because of her role. That's nuts, right? That's nuts to me. So if you think about that, when you just think about operating standards, it goes back to your non-negotiables of what do you stand for, right? What do you stand for? Who do you want to align yourselves with? Who who do you want to be that trusted advisor for, right? Who do you want to be that trusted advisor for? And the more concrete you can be in that doesn't mean that you're not flexible or you're not pliable. I saw in the chat somebody said, sometimes you got to be a chameleon. Yeah, sometimes you do. But again, you just know where your boundaries are at, right? You just know where your boundaries are at, and you know where you're not going to step over the line, kind of thing. So in that, if you want to be the greatest version of you in 2026, right? We'll just say that because that's always the New Year's talk. Is I'm going to ask you what do you need to change? And part of that sub question is what do you need to cut out? Right. So obviously dry January, right? That's a big thing now, right? People are going to stop drinking for 30 days, right? Well, if you know that's a problem, or you're way more productive in January because you're not drinking wine every night or whatever the case may be. Again, not do whatever you do. I'll have a couple cocktails. If we ever meet for dinner, you want to have a drink, I'll have a drink. All right. So, but the thing is, if you know you're way more productive, then why not cut it out for the whole year or limit it to July 4th, Super Bowl Sunday, whatever the case may be. Do you get where I'm going? And maybe that's a weird example, but you can take that with anything in your life. You can take it with anything in your life. It's like, okay, how do I get the best version of me? How do I get the best version of me? So, don't be that New Year's resolutionist that, you're at the gym at 5 a.m., 5:30 a.m. for 1 week. And then the next week it goes to 3 days, and then next week it goes to 1 day, and then the rest of the year it's off, right? I mean, I just read something on Planet Fitness that I thought was hilarious, but it speaks the truth. Planet Fitness builds its financial model on $10 a month on people that don't show up to go to the gym. That's their business model. Now, I will tell you, my wife has had a Planet Fitness membership for the last 3 years at $10 a month, 49.99 annual fee, and she has gone to the gym like twice in 3 years. And every time I tell her you should cancel the membership, she looks at me and she was like, "Well, I was going to start going." And then I just do the smart thing. And I'm like, "Okay, sounds good." And I'm like, "Okay, it's $170 a year for her to have a gym membership that in her head she's going to use, but she's never going to use." You get where I'm going? Right? So figure out what it is that you're going to cut out that makes you non-productive and that you're going to be productive, right? That you're going to be productive. And I'm a big believer in, those knowing what you want to accomplish every day. I don't get paid for what I'm going to tell you. I should become a sales rep for this company. But I use this planner called, you can't really see it because of the light. It's called Goal Crazy Planner. Goal Crazy Planner. Literally goal, Goal, crazy planner. Do you have it, Miriam? I swear to God, I searched for years. I searched for years for like planners. I was just buying planners. I was like a addiction junkie for different planners, right? I would buy it and I would literally like open it up and I'd be like, "Oh, this is trash," right? And I would never use it. I'd throw it away. And and so then like on the marketing, I started digging deeper, like who's really showing their pages and stuff like that. Goal Crazy Planner, I found like, I don't know, maybe 3, 4 years ago. And the thing is phenomenal. The thing is absolutely phenomenal. And Miriam, I mean, if you'll come off camera, maybe you'll edify what I'm going to say. And I don't care if you use that or anything else, but you need to be organized. So here's a couple tips and tricks. And here's probably one of my greatest tips. Everyone talks about the morning routine. I'm powerful in the morning routine. If you've never listened to Hal Elrod, The Miracle Morning for Real Estate Agents, do it on Audible because it's absolutely hilarious. It's really, 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 really good. Now, his other Miracle Morning books are all the same concepts. Just do The Miracle Morning for Real Estate Agents on Audible. It's absolutely hilarious. And it's really, really good context for Miracle Morning. But there's two other things I do in regards to non-negotiables that I think will help you. And FYI, I do have another one at 9 in 3 minutes. Um, is workday shutdown. Agents, it is very, very, very crucial that you know how to shut down your workday. And our heads are spinning all the time, right? They're always spinning, right? Oh, did I send this text? Oh my God, did I send this email? Oh, I forgot to look up this property, whatever the case may be. So you stay organized, whether it's Goal Crazy Planner or something else, you stay organized. What I do at the end of my workday, and whether it's 5 p.m., 7 p.m., 10 p.m., I don't care what time it is, I write what I'm going to do the next day. That night, when I shut down, when I decide that my brain is going to turn off and I am going to go watch Netflix or I'm going to hang out with my nieces, whatever it is, and I'm going to watch Miss Rachel or I'm going to watch Baby Shark a million times for the next hour, my brain has turned off. So I plan for the next day. I know exactly where I'm at with all my clients, and that's real estate and performance psychology. I've maybe sent outreach emails out so that they're in people's inboxes the next day. I know what bills I got to pay the next day, whatever the case may be. I am organized when I shut down the day today for Wednesday. When I shut down at whatever time I shut down tonight, I will know exactly what I got accomplished on Thursday, tomorrow. And I promise you guys, if you can implement that skill set, what you now do is when you shut down, you're at peace. You have a free mind. You can have that family time. You can do what you want to do. You can do Netflix and chill. You can do whatever you want to do, but you're no longer thinking about work because you're already one step ahead of 99% of the world because your next day is already planned out. And yes, I gave you a nugget there. Sending those emails out the night before for people to respond the next day, it's a golden secret. Because now, guess what? It's already done. So Thursday morning, you're just awaiting their response. See what they just did to your morning? You just freed up a ton of nonsense. You just freed up a ton of nonsense. So with that being said, I got to meet with a private equity company in 1 minute. Um, I hope you guys got a lot out of this. I'm more than happy to come back. I mean, we can delve deeper. I got a million topics we can cover, but I hope you got the general gist. I think Robert's going to send out some stuff where If you want to know how you're wired innately versus behavior modification, I have a free diagnostic. It takes 7 minutes. You choose some words. I'll get notified. I'll email you. We'll set up a 15-minute Zoom. I'll show you how you're wired naturally. And what I look for is how you're wired naturally to how you think you have to operate in your day to day. Because what we want is alignment. We don't want divergence. We want convergence, kind of thing. But I hope you guys got something out of it. It shows a lot that you took a morning to be here, that you guys are on every Wednesday with Robert and Walt and Debbie and these guys. These guys they're rock stars. They're there to help. They're great people, great high real estate IQ, high entrepreneurial IQ. So I'm glad that you guys are surrounding yourself with a community that's just offering value, and they're just here to serve you guys, so you guys can rock it. So with that being said, I have to jump off, but I wish
Thank
you all
you.
a great 2026. And yeah, I got to jump off. And Robert, hopefully I checked your box, brother.
You're amazing, man. Thank you so much, Dr. Al.
All right, thanks, guys. Bye.
All right, guys, we will put everything in the newsletter. His awesome survey. What I'll do too is I'll go get that goal planner he mentioned. I'll put that in the newsletter for you as well, so you can check it out. I'll verify that it's the right one with him too. So we make sure we get exactly what that is. Obviously, the replay will be in the newsletter as well. I hope you guys got a lot out of that, because next week we're starting a 4-week breakdown of probably the best business plan I've ever seen with Laura Dahl. We're going to be doing it over several sessions so that we can just take piece by piece and do a good job. But I wanted to discuss mindset first, because that plan will be useless to you if you don't do a lot of the stuff that he just talked about today, right? Especially that last part about the non negotiables. There's just too many times where we just have all these plans and then we just let other people dictate our schedule. And then we wonder why we're broke. We wonder why we didn't hit our goals. We wonder why. And it's just like, you're the CEO, not anybody else. It's you, right? So I'm excited for you guys. I hope you guys had a blast. How was it having a performance psychologist on talking about this stuff? A little bit different than our typical stuff. How did you guys feel about that? Let me know. Um, because it was awesome to have Dr. Al. I enjoyed it. There was things that I was like making notes over here, and I love it. All right, guys. Well, yeah, subscribe to the newsletter so you can get all the replays and stuff. Get into the Facebook group, and have just a great rest of your week. Let's crush it. Bye, guys.